Hi, my name's Vicki Taylor. Welcome to the School of Jerusalem. Today I'm going to weigh in on a movie that is playing. It came out on December the 8th, and it's called Leave the World Behind. It was had executive producers Michelle and Barack Obama. And I noticed some things. I saw the movie and I noticed some things that I'm going to bring up. Some people have brought some of this up, but not all the things that I'm going to bring up. So um, it says leave the world behind. First off, I want to say God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. So it's not about leaving the world behind. It's about us helping the world to remember to get back to their creator, back to God who is love. So it starts out with a white lion oil tanker. And this oil tanker comes up and goes up on the beach, and it was called White Lion. And I just want to make a statement that the White Lion was the name of the English ship that brought the first enslaved Africans to the colony of Virginia in 1619, marking the beginning of slavery in the United States. So everything that was done in this movie had a lot of symbolism, and the race card was played over and over. The race being between gender, between color, between the media is trying to get us to hate one another, and God says love one another. And it doesn't matter what color our skin is. It doesn't matter at all, because God made us from the dirt of the ground, and there were five colors of dirt and every kind of hue and between it. It doesn't matter the external man. What matters is what's going on behind our eyeballs. And so they're trying to get us to hate one another. And to turn the tables on this, I'm going to not only tell what they're doing, but to turn the tables on hate is we're going to choose to love. And that they can't take. They want to be our masters to tell us what we will do. And when I say they, I'm not talking about the people who made this movie. I'm not talking about even the George Soroses or the Rockefellers or the Rothschilds or, really any of the people, flesh and blood people. I'm just talking about there is a fight between light and darkness, between good and evil, between God and Satan. That's what this is about. This is a spirit that leads people to do evil to other people. And I'm just going to mention that in the book of Revelation, there is a horse, a green horse. It says a pale horse, but it's really green. It's chloros. And death rides that horse, and that horse stands for the money horse. And if the love of money is the root of all evil. And so another thing that I noticed in the movie is that Rose was one of the little daughters, and she had a shirt on that said NASA. And Arthur, her brother, had a shirt on that said obey. NASA in the Hebrew, NASA means to lend or be a creditor. And obey, to me, it looked like it had a picture of somebody on there that looks familiar, but I'm not going to say who it looks familiar of, but it says between the two shirts, so it would say, obey your money masters, obey those who have you under their money hold. Satan, death, rides that green horse, and pretty much he told God, if I control the money, I'll control the people. And God said, not my people. My people will not be controlled by money. Well, it takes us a bit to not be controlled by money, but there's so much symbolism in this that I'm just kind of point out, on the tattoo on the arm of Ruth, it had 1996 or 96 tattooed on it, just 96. And I knew that 96 was a huge time in history, because basically 96 was the end of a 6,000 year from Adam history date. And so I put up here the 6 days of creation. One day is with the Lord as 1,000 years. So there was 2,000 years from Adam to Abraham, 2,000 years to Jesus from Abraham, 2,000 years from Jesus to 1996, the end of the 6th day. And then we have this little period of time. It's actually a 40-year period of time between the sixth and the seventh day. It's kind of like Job's day. It's a day of darkness, of gloominess. It's a day of a man child, I'm going to call them, company coming forth, which are the sons and daughters of God coming forth, remembering who they are, that they are children of God. I'm making a point about the sons and daughters of God because I'm not only going to tell you about this movie, but I'm going to tell you we have something we can do. Whenever their plans are put out here, we have something we can do, and I'm going to tell you about that on the last slide. Um, the one of the man's names in there was Clay, and I thought that was kind of a play on words because we are the clay, he's the potter. And but they, people, Satan thinks clay people, Adam people are just nothing, that he is much wiser, much smarter than them, and they're just clay. In the movie, a businessman moves large sums of money out of the stock market. And just recently, on December the 11th, it was reported that Warren Buffett was selling 28.7 billion in stock, and it ringed alarm bells over the economy. I thought it was funny because he said just that morning in the movie, uh, somebody, a friend of his that kind of meets with the cabal, he had called him and told him move all of the money, move this a big amount of money. And he said if it was a businessman, if I told you his name, you would recognize him. And he said, and then he told me, well, take care of yourself. And he also mentioned, the businessman said, I'm going away. So I'm just going away. And he said, where are you going? He said, basically, I'm going to go meet with the cabal. And he said, well, you normally don't do that until, the winter solstice, which is around the 21st of December. And, they just making all kinds of insinuations, but we thought it was just funny that the money was a big part of this. They had bug bites in there and the teeth started falling out. The bug bite or even the radiation, they had radiation type being poured out because they had bombs. I'm going to mention Jeremiah 14:4 here. It says, because the ground is chapped, for there was no rain in the earth. The plowmen were ashamed, they covered their heads. Yea, the hind, the deer, the doe also calved in the field and forsook it because there was no grass. And I'm going to tell you that in the movie there was deer, and the deer showed up, and then a lot of deer showed up, and just looked like they were there for a reason. And how the animals, even the flamingos showed up, but the animals seem to know something before people know it. They sense things. And the Bible talks about these deer that there was no grass, that there was no rain, there was you know a, a great big famine and dearth. And we know the famine is really hearing God, hearing the voice of God, hearing God speak to us. These people were scared to death. And and when it talks about there was no grass, I mean, there are such spiritual meanings about grass, but in the Bible, the green horse is represents money, but there is a picture of the green people, the people who are sealed the grass, the trees, the flowers, and these are people that have life. Green can also be life. So money would be death, but green would be speaking life out of your mouth to people, bringing life where there was death, or bringing hope where there is no hope. Or the movie was put out to cause fear. And God tells us, fear nothing. Don't fear what man can do to you. Just know that I am God. You are my children. I love you. And we are not to have fear. He even says in there that if the mountains be cast into the sea, don't fear it. Don't fear what your eyes are seeing, what your ears are hearing. You learn to hear God, see God, what I mean is with your spiritual eyes, perceive God, and trust the Lord. So I'm putting in here 33 and a half years until 2030. We just had during the Hanukkah season, that same period of time, we had the climate people all meeting, and they're signing an agreement about what they're going to do by 2030. And it's 7 years until the 2030. Well, in the book of Revelation, there's actually five 3.5 year periods of time, not two, which would equal seven. There are five 3.5 year periods of time, and we've already gone through three of them. There's two more 3.5 years, but um, it says there's 33 and a half years until 2030, and the 40-year generation of the dark days of this transition will end by 2036. So I'm going to go to the next slide and just show you it's this is something that the Lord pointed out to me years and years ago. But from Adam 4004, from the creation of Adam, male and female, and mankind, there was 2,000 years till the birth of Abraham, 1996 BC, 1996 years before Christ, and then 4 BC, the birth of John the Baptist and Christ, 4, which would, and then I said from Adam 404 to 1996 BC was 2,000 years. That was till Abraham. From 1996 BC, the time of Abraham, to 4 BC was 2,000 years, which was the time of Christ. That's 4,000 years or 4 days. From 4 BC to 1996 AD is 2,000 years or 6,000 years since Adam and 2 days since Christ. We are 27 years into the transition to the Sabbath rest, where the serpent is bound and God alone is exalted. So, at the end of 96, and Ruth had 96 on her arm, and I knew 1996 was our 1996 was the end of the 6th day. We've come to the end of the 6th day. It's just that we have this transition period, the days that are not counted to the 6 days and they're not added to the 7th day. Job says this is a day that the man child, the ones who remember that they are children of God, come forth. And it's a day of darkness and gloominess. It's a time of darkness and gloominess, because the serpent has been working within man for 6,000 years, and it's time for him to be bound and God alone exalted, and he's not going down without a fight. So also these are the names of some of the actors: Julia Roberts, these 4 names here. And someone pointed out, it says, I am Baal. When you take their names and just look how they line up, and which means I am Lord Master. Baal is not the Lord God. Baal is a false God. Also, it had 666 just starting the movie out: 6 on the clock beside the bed, a 6 on the cup in Clay's hand, and 6 on the clock on the other side of the bed. So it just started out with 666. Also, there was a flyer that was poured down. And I remember the flyers were put out in 1917 over Jerusalem, and saying that you need to surrender, that and it was sent out to the Turks. Well, in part 4, the flyer, which was said "Death to America," had a serpent on it, and they said "Death to America" 3 times: "Death to America, death to America, death to America." And it says, on the other side, it had it in Arabic, I think it was. But in Arabic, they translated it: "We say in this post, we have the most dangerous and destructive explosives in history, and we leave this horrific fact for you to contemplate." And I just want to use this M on your land, and steps must be taken to stop the resistance they built to surrender. So they're threatening. I mean, death to America, the most dangerous and explosive. We have the most dangerous and explosives in history. Now, the planet Earth is a free will planet. Anytime Satan, the serpent, the unclean spirits are doing something against our free will, they put it out there. They put it on The Simpsons. They put it on a lot of different media, and they figure, well, hey, if I warn them, I'm not working against the law of the land. I've warned them. It's not my fault if they're stupid and they don't pay attention. And so they feel like, hey, I've warned them. And most people would watch this kind of movie and think, oh, not so scary, or not very well done. I mean, they just look at what the movie is, but not looking at all. I mean, and I'm just barely touching on the symbolism, but they did use a lot. They had the alcohol in there, playas with alcohol, the music, and we know music can turn out to be very demonic. Not all music, but there is music that they are programming in the background and demonic. They had the loud sounds, screeching sounds, the planes crashing, They mention the cabal and the three stages to destroy a country. And in stage one, they said we do isolation, which we will disable their communications. Well, they disable our communications all the time. Anytime you try to put truth out, it is taken. I mean, immediately, just like it says, when a word of the kingdom of truth is planted, immediately Satan comes and steals it away. Well, they're doing the same thing. If you try to put truth out, you're immediately either canceled, um, taken off, and then more lies are planted. Stage two is synchronized chaos. You terrorize them and then you bring fear. And they're telling this is what we're planning on doing. We're going to disable their communications. We're going to terrorize them and bring them fear. And stage three is civil war, everyone killing each other. Because the unclean spirit, Satan is a spirit, he can't kill us. He can't pick up a gun and come across and kill us. He has to get us to kill each other. And we're doing a pretty good job of that. We're just killing each other at every turn. A thought comes in our head, we obey every thought we get, not even thinking that that thought could be from an unclean source and that we could cast down that thought. But I wanted to mention there is something we can do when we see these kind of things. We as children of God have authority in the earth. They may have some power, but we have power and authority. We have the authority from God to use. He said, I gave that earth to the sons of Adam, and that is theirs. If we give it away, if we don't use our authority, that's on us. We have the authority. So when you see something like this, you have the authority to speak the word. You can speak the word as someone who has authority, and you don't have to be. God gave you the authority to say they are planning on shutting down our communications, and you speak and say you will not shut down our communications. I confuse the plan of the enemy, and you start sending out the word. And you can do this with a lot of different things, whatever they're doing, and you see it as evil, then you can use your words. They use words to curse, and we can use words to confound the plans of the enemy and to change the plans of the enemy. So stand up, children of God, and use your authority. You've been given authority by God, but when it said in the book of Revelation, it was given unto him, the beast, to make war with the saints and to overcome them. God did not give it to him to overcome us. This was a beast coming up out of the sea, which means fleshly minded people. And the fleshly minded people that did not know their authority. God called them saints. They're in the body of Christ, but they don't know their authority. So if we don't use our authority and we give up our authority to unclean spirits, then shame on us. Stand up and use your authority and take back the land that God gave you. And the land is your thinking and your imaginations. The land is actually your physical land too. We have authority in this earth, in you, absolutely, but also in this earth that we're standing on. So I just wanted to weigh in. I don't want to make it a long video, but pay attention to what you're seeing. And if you see that it's bad, stand up and use your authority. So I appreciate you joining me, and we'll come back soon.